You look good, you have all of the something they bought you. Yes, goodie!
Is journalism still a thing? So this is coming from the submarine explosion versus the coverage that the submarine explosion had, or versus the 700 people who died on a shipwreck that sunk, coming from, I think it was, where was it? Yeah, so the ship coming from Libya with 700 people who died and sunk at the same time versus the submarine coverage, right?
You know, I didn't know about that Libya one.
You wouldn't, because it was all about the submarine. It was with the rich people them. What? You know what's crazy? What is white people's obsession with the Titanic? A white person needs to explain. What is the white people's obsession with the Titanic? I don't get it.
I think they're trying to look for lost children, you know. Honestly, personally, that's what I think is happening. They're trying to look for lost children.
Child. Anyway, so
you can't turn on.
I don't get the point. And then even people on social media, how they were reacting. Like, I get it, it's funny, and the memes and the jokes.
No, they didn't take it far enough.
No, but to me, no, I don't think they took it far. I just, honestly, people were like, I was having this conversation with my friends about people being sensitive and all of that. There was one friend who was like, people died. They thought it wasn't sensitive for people to be posting like that. And I'm like, yeah, but they signed a waiver knowing all the things they knew.
They did.
If you sign away your waiver for dead, that's like you are going to want death match. And me for sorry for you didn't know what you're getting into.
When you bungee jump and what you call it, skydiving, you fly away.
And that's why I'm gonna do them something there. Because if I hear somebody died while bungee jumping, well,
it's a kind of expected, wow.
It's a 50-50 chance.
Yeah.
The rope can work or it cannot work.
Yeah.
It's sad when you see people die in another way, like if it's like this with the 700 people.
Because it's prevented.
Because it's prevent. Let me tell you, it's just like you paid for this to happen. Like, not being insensitive, but it's like.
That's really what they kind of.
Like, I'm sorry for their family. I don't think so. Personally, I never commented on it via social media, but I don't get it. Like, I really, really don't get it. So. Anyways, at the same time that was happening and the confusion and how everybody was reacting, 700 people from Libya were traveling on a migrant ship and they died, right? And I saw Barack Obama talk about it when he was asked about it, the submarine, and he was like,
There's a potential tragedy unfolding with a submarine that is getting, minute-to-minute coverage all around the world. And it's understandable because obviously we all want and pray that those folks are rescued. But the fact that that's gotten so much more attention than 700 people who sank. That's an untenable situation. The notion that we can't do something about that is simply not true.
It made me think, like, is journalism still a thing? Because what you notice now is that every media outlet is trying to compete with blogs. Mm-hmm. There's no difference between a shade room and a Fox News. Even in our local news, there's no difference between what the Gleaner posts and what Star, and not even just Star, because Star is a newspaper. What the Gleaner posts and what a Daredream or a Dancehall magazine or one of those places post. There's no difference between blogs and news anymore.
So, to be honest with you, I think they're all chasing sensationalization.
Yes,
and that's like the main thing, which is just like what is attention grabbing.
Yeah.
And it's just like, because I do notice it over the years, I've actually really, really noticed that there's no depth. There's no investigative.
There's no investigative journalism.
Alright.
The thing is too, what I think it's almost lazy because I come on here every week and I talk about my opinion. A podcast is based on your opinion, what you see in the news, whatever we're no journalists. I'm a host. I've always said it. I would classify myself as a host. If you want to hear my opinions, I love that for me. But don't use me as no news outlets or no advisor or anything. To me, when you're trying to, for example, right? When you're going to say that the same thing. Like even the other day on the news, I was watching Fox News and I saw them post something from Cardi B's Instagram story. And I was like, that's insane. And I think it's the right. Yeah, they'll post. I didn't know they'd do that because let me tell you how I ended up watching it. I was in the bank and they had it on, and I was just like, when you're just sitting down waiting. Yeah. I was waiting in customer service and they just had it on, and they were talking about This is Fox News, international news, and they were talking about her reaction to the guy's son. I think she said something about the guy who was on the submarine, and he went to one of the guy's son. Went to the Blink 182 concert instead, and while his father was missing, and Cardi B had something to say about it. Did you know that made the Fox News cycle? And I thought about it, and I was like, this is insane. There's no difference, because to me, what Cardi B is saying should be on a blog. And then also,
let's look about that. You know what? Let's actually find a blog.
Define a blog versus a newspaper. Thank you.
So a blog is a regularly updated website or web page, typically one run by an individual or small group. That is written in an informal or conversational style.
Exactly. Informal. So what's a news? So just.
There's no definition for news outlet per se. I will type in journalism.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. That makes sense. Wow. Maslow.
Alright, so activity or professional writing for newspapers, magazines, or news websites, or preparing news to be broadcast. Yeah.
And then what is news? Because it's preparing news, but what is news?
Okay. Sorry. Newly received or noteworthy information, especially about recent events. Noteworthy is actually underlined.
Noteworthy. Okay. But so my thing is, right? We've stepped into a very weird realm. Right? Because with the rise of blogs and other things and things that you can get on your phone, you see that that's a preferred news outlet. So a friend of mine made a very valid point, and two of my best friends studied journalism in university. So Brittany and Marissa both studied journalism, and they had really good points when I had this discussion with them. They were saying that you have to remember that news is funded by advertisements. Those companies are funded by advertisements, and what's happening is that the blogs are getting more ads because that's what people are generating to.
More clicks and views.
They have more clicks and stuff like that, right? So it's like
one big competition to get
one big competition. So, but then there is some benefits of blogs as news outlets. So their ability to provide diverse perspectives. So with the news, for example, if you're listening to. Because for example, right, Sir P is a blog, but when you're listening to him, he almost is like, he gives you a non-political way. When you're on a TVJ or a CVM, you have to come good, because you have to be careful, because even when you have a Deion Jackson Miller, who's one of those few people who not afraid to ask the tough questions, but there's still a form of kind of like politically correct.
What I will definitely happen and say is, those generation of journalists in Jamaica
dying breed.
Okay.
That
is one thing I was. She is one of the last batch.
Yeah.
That has really, and Janela Pursues.
Yeah.
She's one that does a good job at investigative journalism.
Yeah.
Right, so let's say
dying breed, man.
Dying breed.
But then I think because again you have like a Sir P. So I've heard people say like, yo, if Sir P say it's a real talk, but don't say a real talk, like
he has a lot of credibility.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, like, and I get it's based on his reporting and all of that.
But he also investigates. His team. At this point, he's a journalist. You can't tell me that.
No, but all right, you just proved my point. So that's what I'm saying. It's just like, we don't know this person's identity.
Absolutely not.
We don't know if what he's saying is true. Mm-hmm. It's just assumed based on the things. It just makes sense.
Right.
He could just be good at speaking, not deterring from against what he does. But it's just like there's no real thing for us to say. But you get what I'm saying. So blogs, and then because of that, you get blogs so easily accessible. Mm-hmm. You can just type in YouTube, and as something happen, remember, news only come on at a certain time in Jamaica, for example. It's not. I guess in the US it's like a 24-hour news cycle, right? But then that's where the investigative journalism comes into me, because to me, if you see the world going a certain way, right? You need to work. To me, it's almost like you need to kind of find the stories that I'm not hearing about.
Yeah.
What happened to the people who are in the different parishes or around the world doing things that I don't know about? The Jamaicans who are overseas.
What I would say is raise that to you and say, I wonder if investigative journalism is unsafe.
True.
No, like let's talk about it.
It's true.
Like,
There's a
in all
safety.
honesty, like you go digging, you go see,
And most of the greats are dead.
you gonna find things, or you gonna be threatened for your life.
True.
Or so I feel like people want to really look into some things, and it may not be something really bad enough, but they may uncover it. It may be something good, but they may uncover some bad that really lay them to kind of question if they can release this information or not based on what they find. And I find that possibly that maybe it's worldwide. I don't know. I'm not a journalist. I don't know. Journalists comment below if that's what you think is an issue. Coupled with the fact that people just trying to, really drive that clickability, that ad reach, that ad revenue, and that overall reach by just having stuff that are pretty sensational. But it's a dangerous job.
It is a very dangerous job.
Remember when, all them journalists say, oh no, that's more like a broadcaster. But alright, say for instance, because when I think of journalism, I think of people who are also able to prepare like documentaries.
True.
Because you're looking, you're finding these stories, you're digging, you're getting to understand these stories. Like, wanna know, like even like people who do the true crime stuff.
Yeah.
Is that because they investigating them?
That's what I was about to say. Like, but then with true crime, it's like it has already happened. It's crime. It's already happened. It's on the books. It's still a story, right? But for example, right? I feel like with. And that's why I said I don't know if it's this. That's why I said I don't know if I get the safety concerns, but it's also kind of lazy because it's like
it is. Some of them were lazy for true,
because it's like sometimes like sit down and think on your questions, think on what you want to uncover,
or they just rely on the source to be like.
And none of them, and then I feel like none of them don't work stories anymore. Yeah. Sometimes journalists used to have working on a story for 6-7 months, a year before they finally release one story. Like. I don't feel like they do that anymore.
What they do is like get little pieces and drop it. And
it's like everybody is competing to have the next.
So it's like the missing piece.
Click link. Yeah, it's like.
But I have one more information more than you.
Yeah, exactly.
Based on my source.
But then I get it because at the same time, if somebody breaks the story that you've been working on for 6 months before you, it's like because of things are
pieces of the story.
Your thing bun up. So it's like. Are we the reason why investigative journalism has died? Exactly. Now, because now even like...
We want to know what information...
We can't even watch a full 15-minute video anymore. We want to listen to a 1 minute...
watch ours.
We want to listen to a 1 minute, 2 minute clip on TikTok and then that's it.
No, and that's a major point. I will say that's
I think we are the problem as well.
We want information at your fingertips.
So quickly.
Like today I read an article about an incident that happened in Mona. Like you don't know if you saw it.
No, I didn't see it.
The girl jumped out of the car and was mowing her down, and a policeman tried to help, and he was mowing him down with the car, and eventually he sped off, and then they followed him to a location in Kingston, and they found him. He had committed suicide. And for me, for the life of me, I'm just like, I just need information about what it is. Like, I was just like, who are these people? I want details right now. And every time I see the story, I'm just like, is this more information? So I think because we always have that information so really available, we're spoiled.
I mean, you know what I don't like either? To me, I don't know. This could be my personal thing with news. If you're going to tell me somebody dead, tell me how them dead. Like, especially for me as a young person, when you tell me, especially, so-and-so died at 20. Oh, what them eat, what them do, so me can avoid it. I don't know.
I also feel like some of the articles are so misleading sometimes. And it's for clickbait.
It's for clickbait. I don't like that. I don't like that either.
I really don't like it. It's very deceptive, and I think it's dishonest, and that is not journalism. You're a blogger.
Yeah, facts.
Like bloggers be doing that shit.
Yeah, facts. But then even there are some potential drawbacks to blogs too, because for example, even with Joshi, like he was questioned due to simply blogs, and we don't know what happened. We don't know if he's involved or not. Right. The point is, it's just been people hearsay and blog posts that led to it.
Yeah.
But then there's a positive side to that too, because it's like for example, somebody other than Joshi, if somebody else was involved in something and they can help lead to who did something
Right.
faster, sometimes the streets know more than even the news outlets do. So there is some benefits and there is some drawbacks to it.
And you know what? Also, point I want to raise. You remember the little girl? I don't remember her name. That was, her thing was slash rest in
Yeah.
peace. And how they had drawn the intelligence had created a look of the person.
Oh, yeah.
And the girl, they mistakenly identified as someone that worked at Tac Bar.
Oh,
So
God. Yes, and she
they
was
had to
crying
release
these
a statement,
statements.
and she had to go on the news because her life would have probably been in danger because blogs were saying, because I saw
Fine her.
yeah man, she work at Tac Bar, and I'm just like, you see, no, we're bloggers can't put people's lives
In danger. Exactly.
Yes, she may resemble. I mean, when I look at it, it was just like, I guess maybe ish, but I'm not sure. But in my mind, it's a dangerous task as well because you're not investigating. Hello? You're not investigating. You are just sharing information.
As you see
From
it.
your opinion.
Yup.
So that is dangerous. Similar to what we would have said about Josh.
Yeah.
I can't imagine how she feels.
I can imagine, especially something like that for a child. And come on your work. It affect your work.
Because they know where she works.
Works.
Like, oh, no,
You can't lose your job because you work for it for them get attacked. There's so much.
Sure she probably had to stop her if you have it. I don't know. Because I'd afraid to leave my house.
I'm afraid to leave my house because you don't know. Because to me too, the information go out for you. And the thing is, it's so much harder to get a retraction.
Absolutely.
I feel like when it comes to this whole journalism thing and like what is right, there should be. I see some countries that they're putting in laws now where you have to be kind of careful in terms of what you report. I think there needs to be some form of, I don't know, honestly, I can't tell you in terms of what the solution would be, but I think there needs to be some governance because I'm very 50-50 with it, because when it comes to like freedom of speech, I think that's important, and there's stories that are not being reported.
Yeah.
And I think it's a better time than when people were gatekeeping what should be news or what is newsworthy or what can be, and people start to create their own outlets for things that they're interested in.
Agreed.
So it's like there is a balancing act, but there is some...
You want to create opportunities, we also want to protect the industry.
Protect the industry, not just the industry, but just like protect people. Because there's a lot of times when if you get it wrong, you lead to, and then even things like, we know that, for example, when people go, it's so hard when people are doing jury duty. For certain cases, they literally have to make you not watch the news. So like high profile cases, they have to like not make people watch the news. They have to literally put you in a hotel room. It's becoming more expensive because you can't be influenced by what's happening in the news. So like there's certain high profile cases that...
Wow, yes.
Think about it, because like how you avoid it, it's on your phone, it's on the TV, it's on podcasts. You don't have, so there's certain case, if a case is very high profile in like the US and some other countries, you don't have access. If you get jury duty, you're put in a hotel, you are there for the day, like you cannot have interaction because of how high profile the case is. Outside of the danger aspect or people trying to bribe you, like that was things from back in the day. Now you have to be careful that the news outlets and the blogs aren't swinging your decision. So it's so much bigger than even we think.
Yeah. But I think we didn't touch, which is very important, is UK media, British media.
Racism.
No, they're just overall horrible people.
They're horrible people. They're horrible people.
Because racism is separate and apart from that. What are you posting, my G? Like,
my introduction to UK media was with Raheem Sterling. Like literally, they attack that man for no reason. Attack him, attack his family. Like,
and I'm just like,
what's wrong with you guys? How is this news?
No, them, because remember said them up,
and they decide.
Act like blog.
Yeah.
Act like blog. So I'm gonna say, something off yourself.
Yeah, facts.
That whole media in in Britain, is on some next level ish. Like, I don't know what they're about, but it's crazy to me.
It's very weird.
They're just there to stand for people. Absolutely. Like, they are blogs. That's shade room. British,
let's say.
Yeah, ain't it?
But I don't know. When it comes to this, it's such a. I think it's something that we can discuss again in terms of as time goes by and we see how. But I think it definitely is something to think about in terms of even self-reflection.
Is it me? Am I the drama? I don't think I'm the drama. Maybe I am.
Right? Because it's like I didn't see the submarine. Not that I saw the submarine and I knew what was happening there, but I didn't know what was happening for with the people from Libya, the migrant ship. I didn't know about that, and I take responsibility as well because it's like I think I'm. It's not that because it's almost like if Obama didn't say it, I wouldn't have known that it was happening. But there were news outlets when I looked at it. There were news outlets that had it. But guess what? My feed was just filled up with the submarine, and I am looking at my feed. So it's almost like maybe I need to read more. Maybe I need to find the sources or find things that make sense, right? So it's almost like there is some self-responsibility in terms of what I intake as well. Because if I don't do that, if I don't take it in, then they can't do it. You understand? Like if the information, if I don't value the clickbait and the catchy headlines as people, we as people don't value that, then there would be no news to report. But they're just acting based on what we care about. Right. We care about what Cardi B have to say and what I interact with most, right? So I think there is some level of I think that's how we have some level of responsibility when it comes to that.
Aware of just outside of pop culture, more extended world news.
More extended in terms of what's happening, and if you truly want journalism, I feel like you have to appreciate the sites that are still doing it and respect them and give them their flowers. So that was our hot topics. Okay, moving on to our listener letter.